with the striated panels than it would be with the flatter panels, because the striations in it basically act as a buffer. They act as a shock absorber, if you will, where the flexing with the heat, with the changes in temperature, the elevation and dropping in temperature allows that to flex downward and up like a shock absorber would. The same thing would be vertically, because when you affix the side of the panel with the pan head screws, they're not torqued down to where they're solid. It's tight and it's, there's torque on it, but not so much that it's going to prevent movement or dimpling. That way it allows that vertical movement as well when you have the expansion and contraction of the roof itself. Where with a standing seam or with any type of an exposed fastener type roof, because of how those fasteners are embedded into the roof decking, it isolates portions of those panels, so there's no room for that expansion or contraction.
Does the slope of the roof affect the visibility of oil canning?
Not really, no. It's oil canning the slope is not going to have so much of an effect. It's more of a lighting effect. So you may look at it at 8 o'clock in the morning and it'll look flat as can be, and then by 11 o'clock when the sun hits it just right, you'll be able to see, it'll look like you're standing out in Myrtle Beach looking out at the water.
But would you say it's easier to see it with a panel that's higher or a little higher slope versus laid down? The point is that roof is somewhat laid down compared to.
So you're talking about the pitch of the roof. If it's on, depending on the pitch of the roof. Oh, absolutely. If it's on a lower roof, if it's on like a 412 pitch, which is, a pretty low pitch, the visibility from the ground is going to be almost impossible. If you're looking at, a 612, to 812 or larger, you're going to have that greater visibility because the elevation of the pitch of the roof is coming upward, which makes it more in line with line of sight.
Not the words in your mouth, but that roof, to me, I would consider it a low slope roof.
That roof is, on average, I want to say, where's my pitch? Just 1 second. 612. It's a 612 pitch.
At the ridge throughout that roof, would that be a vented cap or is it?
Yes, it would be a vented cap. It would be with whatever panel that we would use. The way that the ridges, the way that you seal a ridge, essentially with metal roofing, is use what's called a Z-bar, which was in that box that Mr. Stein showed you the other day. The particular Z-bar that he showed you is the vented rebar, which is designed specifically for the ridge. Because right now you have the vented ridge vents on there, where it allows the air to escape out of the top and vent out of the sides underneath the shingles. The systems that we use with the Z-bar would actually fit up underneath, and it has those perforations in it. The Z-bar would sit in between the two ridges on the panel. The roof cap would then rest on top of that and clips on and is secured onto that spot to go ahead and create a completed, completed protective coat or cover over the top. Those vents on the side are also, they have the, I don't know what you call it, mesh or whatever that's embedded into it, which allows for filtering and keeping things from coming in, like small bugs or whatever. And it allows the air to still exhaust out instead of, as opposed to having a solid Z-bar that's locked in up underneath. So you still have that venting capability, yes.
What would you think the price difference, and that's not something I'm going to hold you to, just roughly, what do you think the price difference would be installed between the Meridian and the standing seam? And I don't know if it breaks down the difference.
The standing seam is typically, if you're talking just product, for the cost of just the panel itself, not including all the prep, all the labor, the additional items that have to be included with it, you're probably looking at about maybe 1.5 times more what the cost of the Meridian would be.
5%?
About 50% more. If you're, just for sake of ballparking it, and even numbers, if I tell you that it's $1 for the Meridian panel, then you can expect that just the panel, not including your, the devices to affix it to the roof, the underlayment and all of that, you're talking probably about $1.50 per foot.
And then labor.
And then the labor charges, labor charge, standard labor charge, plus what other additional items have to be applied to the roof as well.
Well, is the labor 3 times what we put Meridian down, is it twice the price of Meridian?
The labor is figured out as a rate of hours, not so much, how much, it's a rate of hours based on the material being worked with. It's just like if you go to an auto shop and you get your car worked on and they say, okay, it's 1.5 labor hours, well, it only took you 20 minutes to do it. Well, when we're doing our estimating, that's kind of how we do it, is we look at it as, it should take, our average guy this amount of time to do it at this price. So as far as, a fixed or set price, we would have to wait until we completed the entire, determination to what material is going to be used before I could give you any kind of a true answer on how much that would be. But it would still add to it, yes.
But if we said, Ray, we'd like to have a standing seam roof, you would quote that.
I would quote it as a standing seam roof with labor, yes.
So put that in context, Ray. You gave me a shingle quote.
Correct.
And then you said that Meridian is roughly about 10% more on average.
For the panels, yes.
For the panels.
Yes.
So on the standing seam, we're more like 15%.
Probably 15, somewhere between 15 and 20%, yes.
And is the warranty on the standing seam the same as the Meridian?
It would be, yes.
And are both available in Galvaloon?
Yes, they are.
And is the expansion and contraction and all that other stuff, is all the work you told me on the subdecking the same amount of work that need to be done to put the standing seam down versus the Meridian?
The same preparation work would be, the preparation work has to be done regardless of the type.
Let's say, well, there's a side, just a bit. What was quoted for an asphalt shingle? Was it an architectural shingle?
Yes.
Do you have a brand name?
We typically run GAF is the brand name, so is the brand that we utilize. We do Owens Corning and some others, but we primarily work with GAF.
Is that an architectural shingle that's on there now?
Yes.
There's not much of a shingle left on there right now, but
It has a lot of granule loss, it has a lot of hail impacts, things like that. So there's really not that much that can be recovered off of that roof.
So it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, whether asphalt shingle or a metal roof, when I say metal, you understand the seam or Meridian. Your first, correct me if I'm wrong, your first chore to get done, strip that roof, reframe whatever needs to be reframed and shore it up, and then put nice water shield over the whole roof. Is that correct?
Yes. We would have, because it's a metal roof, the manufacturers require a high temperature water membrane, ice and water membrane to be placed on the roof decking, which helps to alleviate some of the issue with the oil canning problem, because it acts as a barrier between, it's an additional barrier that goes between the roof decking materials and the metal itself.
What is the purpose of, I was surprised to hear that you put a felt over the ice and water. Is that for the roof to slip on?
It's just some added padding, added protection for the felt itself. Plus it's code. So we do everything by code. So we put down the ice and water, and then we put down the roof felt over the top.
Is that the, go back to that question?
Yeah, these are not personal opinions, I'm right. This is what's permitted in my ordinance for visible roofs: composite shingles, architectural design, standing seam metal, tile, slate, and shakes. So those are the options we have, and this is in the ordinance.
How, this isn't your question, but it's an obvious question.
Okay.
How does the warranty, or how would your warranty on a 5 feet grid roof differ from, say, a stainless steel?
The warranty doesn't.
Or really?
No, the warranty is the manufacturer's warranty. We have a workmanship warranty that we have with our company. That's standard. I don't know, Chad, do you want to speak to that a little bit more? Oh, yeah, yeah, he was mentioning the 5V with the rubber washers. When you have, they either use the rubber washers, or sometimes they have the polyester type washers that after time are going to wear a lot faster. I mean, overall, when you talk about the difference between the hidden seams and the fixed fasteners, the exposed fasteners, those are going to become weather worn, and those are going to start to cause leaks. That requires additional maintenance, where you would have to come every, I mean, granted it would be long-term, 10 years or so, that you would want to have those, some of those replaced, especially if you start to experience leaks. So that's one of the issues that you have with the 5V panels with the exposed fasteners. So
The labor to install standing seam versus 5V.
I'm sorry.
Your labor cost for installing 5V versus standing seam.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference?
Still, again, the standing seam, because it requires a greater amount of labor, the labor cost would be higher.
So 5V would be cheaper.
The 5V would be cheaper than a standing seam, yes.
Is there a meridian, when I say meridian, I don't know what day, I know meridian is one of the days that we looked at.
Yeah, meridian is the panel style. That's what that is.
Well, in that manufacturer's list or brochure of panels, is the one that has a different looking seam, vertical seam, to be more, if we don't put 5V on,
Mm-hmm.
we don't want to grade cross for ourselves, we're just trying to take this thing back in time. If we can't put 5V on,
Mm-hmm.
what else out there is there to look at that looks similar to a 5V versus the meridian that you showed us?
Okay. Well, first thing you're asking about the ribs, I guess, is a part of your question. As far as, because the standing seams, you're typically going to have about a 2-inch rib. You can do them lower. The meridian panel is a, I guess, for lack of a better term, a faux standing seam, because it does have that elevated ridge, but that elevated rib is only 0.91 inch. Where a standing seam, you can typically get a full 1 inch, 1.5 inch to 2 inch standing seam, which the higher that rib is, just in my personal opinion, the more commercial it looks. I personally prefer, and not saying I use that as any kind of gauge for this, and for me, I like the lower seam look. Maybe somebody else likes a higher seam, but whatever it is that's requested, that's what we're going to work with. So if they want the 1.5 inch rib, we can do the 1.5 inch rib. Now, when you're talking about the difference between the 5V and a standing seam, your 5Vs, the way that the 5V is designed, there's a picture of one in that packet that I gave you, is you have that peak on the center point with 2 flat edges and then 2 V's and 2 inverted V's on the end. Those 2 inverted V's overlap on each other to lock the panels together. With that center seam is designed so that it allows for that lateral expansion and contraction that I was talking about earlier. But it doesn't allow so much for that vertical going from eave to peak kind of expansion with the metal. Plus, if you're using those exposed fasteners, you're also locking them in, and you're basically creating sections of the board or of the metal that are restricted in their movement because that whole panel doesn't have the ability to shift. It's only it's like taking a piece of metal and stretching it, trying to pull it, and that's what's really creating those undulations in the metal itself.
When you lap those two inverted beams over top of the beam itself, is there any type of gasket material or tape or anything that runs between the two panels?
You can apply, there's, trying to remember the name of it, it starts with a B, I can't, it's just slipped my mind. What's that? That's right, back-rod tape. So you could place that underneath of it to assist with sealant. You could also use a metal-based sealant like caulking that you could put along there, and it would kind of create that weather seal is essentially what it does.
But the connection with the washer obviously is through the top.
Through the top, yes.
But that's the only washer that's right there.
Correct.
Mr. Steins, how much of this, and percentage-wise, how much of the budget has been allocated thus far for this particular project? And what I'm trying to see, in terms of if we decide to go a different way with the roofing, in terms of what roofing is recommended, is there enough room in the budget for that? Because as expressed, some of us would rather go back to how it originally looked in terms of was first built.
The budget we have is locked without requesting an amendment, which I have no intentions of doing. We still have a good runway of exterior work to finish on this project that may or may not require more out of the budget that we have. The product that he's quoted me and the verbals that I've gotten from Mr. Core on that meridian panel or that standing seam panel would match within our current budget. I feel pretty comfortable and allow us the remaining contingencies to finish the other parts of the project. I just want to caution on the fact that as far as it relates to the discussion of this V panel and these exposed fasteners, listening to Mr. Porter make note, and I just want to make sure it's vividly clear that we're looking at options of roofing with 50-year workmanship with warranty on them versus 10-year maintenance intervals on a roof on a building that's been neglected for 30 years. So who is monitoring these rubber washers? That would be the question I would have to ask this board. Because it's not been monitored in the last 30 years to get us to where we are now.
This is not getting any kind of debate along those lines, but you're right, the washer does deteriorate after a while. I think 10 years I think they have a far longer lifetime than 10 years.
10 years is your check period. That's when you would start looking at that.
I've got roofs 20 years, they're not leaking at this point. But I also want to point out that Langford House has a roof on that's 120 years old. $6,000, you can paint it every 10, 15, 20 years. So you've got 120-year life roof right there in that one building. We're painting it every 10, 15 years to avoid any type of leaks. So from a longevity standpoint, specifically all factors, including maintenance. The roof was red at one time, and had silver. I think we painted it a couple of years ago for about $6 grand.
I'm sorry to be clear, are you referencing every 10 or 15 years you've been painting the roof?
No, it's been painted, that roof's probably been painted on it maybe 3 or 4 times in its entire existence.
But you're saying that the roof has been repainted?
Repainted.
What they refer to as cool seal?
That's, I'm not sure what it
The old terms.
Right. But it's recent, but it got cost them about $6 grand. So it is maintenance involved, you're 100% right, but also you've got a roof that's 100 built over to it. In fact, if you look at all the buildings in town, the oldest buildings, all of them have a 5-year roof on it. And to my knowledge, none of them don't have any particular problem with leakage. but there is maintenance issue. Maintenance.
And I think with it being public dollars, I think it really needs to be, I think that's a high consideration that needs to be put in there of an ongoing maintenance of a product where we could put a product on there and not have virtually any maintenance for 50 years.
Dan does bring up a good point. I've got to agree about who's the point person that's going to protect these roofs.
It's not going to happen. I'm just.
And that's something that, not just this roof, that's something the town's got to come to terms with at some point. Somebody, now we realize we got a problem, we got to fix the problem. In long term, where's that position? And that's something, that's an issue. But you bring up a good point.
Well, I think the standing seam is a better choice, but it's more expensive. So,
The standing seam come in 12-inch like seams, or does it start with 16? Because I believe the V, I think we all agree the V is roughly about 12 inches apart.
Let's see. The 5V panels come in a 29 or 26 gauge, which is a thin type metal. A thinner metal is more accurate. They are a 24-inch panel from this particular manufacturer. That's not necessarily saying that's industry standard, but from the manufacturer notes that I have with me right now, the width of the five, the width of the 5V is a 24-inch cover width with a 12-inch valley from edge peak to center peak, and a half-inch rise in the center, where the Meridian panels are 16-inch or 12-inch. Again, just to kind of give you an idea of why they make them that size is because of the oil canning issue. The closer together, the smaller the panel, the less severe the oil canning should be if it's installed properly.
So does the standing seam come with a 12-inch valve?
The standing seam, minor rib, that's a minor rib. This is their standing interlock. I don't have the standing seam on here, but does it come in a 12-inch panel? I would have to get back to you on that. I'm not sure if it comes in a 12-inch.
So if I can get a 12-inch,
I think it would do. So look, she's looking for it.
Ralph, did you say something?
Yes, sir. The medallion lock from that same company comes in 12-inch. It's got a 1.75 standing seam.
Yes.
It's a medallion lock. It comes in 12, 16, and 18-inch panels.
Okay.
Thank you, Ralph. So Ralph's verified on their site.
Because I had the Instalock on here, but I didn't have a medallion lock.
But they have a 12-inch valley and a standing seam. So would we all agree that if it fits in the budget to put a 12-inch standing seam on that in the galvalume, I'm not trying to stay on the point of it, can we move on, would we be in agreement with that?
Yeah, I didn't realize the review of that company, his CNC, I don't know why I didn't think of that. I thought they just had a special block over it, a little bit more market. I think we're fine with that.
Sounds good.
12 inch down, stay safe.
That's fine.
5 seconds.
Yes. I'm sure Mr. Ford can pull something together for me.
Okay, you said the 12-inch galvalume?
They'll make a motion here, yeah, 12-inch galvalume standing seam.
What is the name of it? Is it still Meridian?
No, Meridian is the style.
Medallion lock
Medallion lock.
from the same company, same manufacturer.
We're talking about medallion lock, standing seam, 12-inch panel.
That's my understanding. Ralph, are you seeing denotions on there about the seam height?
Yes, the vertical height is 1.75 on that medallion lock.
Okay.
Well, then I'd like to make a motion, Ken. I'd like to make a motion that we go with medallion lock, standing seam, 1.75 inches with 12-inch panels, and galvalume finishes on the top.
Yes, sir.
What else do we need to add to that?
That's a galvanized look.
That's the galvanized look, yeah.
Was that the color?
The sample I showed, the chip I showed you looks like galvanized, that's the galvanized chip, yeah.
I don't know that the chair can make the motion.
I second.
Maybe you make the motion. Richard.
No, keep making the motion. Better for the chair.
Draw one. Give me a quote.
I just want to say that I don't have any other comments, but I weigh heavily my duty to follow, to make it as historically correct as possible.
Mr. Chairman, are we?
Make a motion that approve the medallion lock, stainless seam, 1.75, rollers panels, and roof fix.
That was seconded by Cindy Norton. Motion made by Mr. Bailey. Okay.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have paint color on here, and I just want to make sure we don't have any more snags. The house is going to be repainted the same color. White will be the body, Charleston green will be the trim, which we've determined probably was the original darker green that we found on the doors that are not exposed to the sunlight. It's the darker green. The shutters and all have faded, obviously. Just I just wanted to bring it out. The gutters will be half round, 5-inch galva looms. Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn, please.
Ralph, thank you.
All those in favor?
Yes, sir, thank you.